I remember that night like it was etched in stone. The clock on the rickety nightstand in room 17 of the Dusty Trails Motel ticking past 11:45 p.m. I'd been holed up there for nearly a month, staring at the faded wallpaper peeling like old sunburned skin. The place was a rundown joint on the outskirts of Tucson, Arizona, where the desert heat seeped through the walls even after dark. $45 a night was bleeding me dry, but it was all I could swing until my next paycheck from the diner down the road. Dinner that evening? A handful of saltines and a warm soda I'd nursed all day. My whole life crammed into one duffel bag and a beat-up backpack, some wrinkled clothes, a couple of paperbacks, and a photo album I couldn't bear to ditch, even though flipping through it felt like twisting a knife in my gut. I pulled my worn-out flannel shirt tighter against the chill from the faulty AC unit that hummed like a dying coyote. No point complaining to the front desk again. Folks like me didn't have that luxury. The TV was busted. Its screen cracked like a spiderweb. So I sat in the silence, trying to block out the memories. But they crashed in anyway, Ryan's voice echoing in my head. I need someone who hasn't lost her spark. Yeah.
Right.
After I'd given up everything to pull him back from the brink. It all started 7 years back when I was 25, scraping by as a graphic designer for a little ad firm in Phoenix. Pay wasn't great, maybe 30 grand a year, but I loved crafting logos for local ranches and tourism spots. My apartment was a shoebox with a view of the saguaro cactuses. And I had a life: weekend hikes in the Superstition Mountains, barbecues with friends, dreams of something bigger. Simple joys. You know, the kind that shatter when real trouble hits. I met Ryan at a Chamber of Commerce mixer in Scottsdale one dusty Thursday evening. I almost bailed. Networking felt like pulling teeth, but my boss twisted my arm. Ryan was by the snack table, looking sharp in his cowboy boots and button-down, cracking jokes about the stale chips. These things taste like cardboard from a ghost town, he said with a grin that lit up his eyes. We got it chatting. He sold printing supplies to businesses across the Southwest, and before I knew it, we were laughing like old pals. Our first date was at a hole-in-the-wall Mexican joint, tacos and margaritas under string lights. Ryan was the real deal. Opened doors, asked about my sketches, shared his vision of owning a print shop tailored to Western outfits like rodeos and outfitters. His enthusiasm was infectious, like a wildfire in dry brush. We dated for a year, surprise drives through the Grand Canyon, notes tucked in my sketchbook, wildflowers he'd picked on his sales routes. My mom, Linda, met him early on and whispered, "He's a keeper. Emily, hold on tight." I did. He proposed at sunset on a bluff overlooking Sedona's red rocks, down on one knee with a simple gold band sparkling in the light. I said yes before he finished the question. We tied the knot 6 months later in a modest ceremony at Mom's church in Tucson, nothing flashy. Saving for the future. Friends packed the place. Toasts rang out. And when Ryan vowed in sickness and in health, for better or worse, I believed him down to my bones.
Post-wedding?
Ryan pitched the big idea over enchiladas one night. Let's start our own gig, a print shop for the West. You design killer stuff for ranches and events. I've got the sales chops. Partners in everything. It scared me, loans, long hours, the risk of going bust in this rugged economy. But his confidence won me over. We'll build our empire.
Eminencia.
Dust to diamonds. We launched Cooper Printworks with a SBA loan and our nest egg. First year was hell. 14-hour days. Peanut butter sandwiches. Crashing on an air mattress after selling our furniture for ink supplies. But we hustled, landed contracts for festival posters, ranch brochures, hired help, upgraded to a storefront in Tucson. By year 5, we were solid, a cozy ranch-style house with a porch swing, my reliable pickup truck, talks of kids, and maybe a horse or two. Life felt like a wide-open prairie. For our anniversary, Ryan took me back to that Mexican spot. To us, forever, he toasted, eyes locked on mine. I echoed it, heartful. Little did I know, forever had an expiration date. It began with fatigue. Ryan, always the go-getter, started dragging after sales calls. Just the heat, he'd say, waving it off. But Arizona summers come and go. This lingered. Then the weight loss, his jeans sagging, face hollowing like wind-eroded rock. Night sweat soaked the sheets. He'd shiver in the dry air. Doc time, I insisted after he collapsed on the porch one evening. He grumbled, but went. The waiting room in Phoenix felt endless. Faded magazines. My mind spinning worst-case scenarios. When the doc called me back, his tone said it all. Tests piled up. Blood draws.
Scans.
Diagnosis hit like a flash flood. Stage 3 lymphoma. Aggressive. Nodes involved. Without treatment. Months at best, the oncologist said. But chemo, radiation, we can fight. Ryan broke in the truck, sobbing. I ain't ready to go.
Eminencia.
I held him. You won't. We'll beat this. Whatever it takes. Costs? Astronomical. Insurance covered basics. But deductibles. Experimental drugs. Out-of-pocket maxed at $25,000 yearly, still. Bills could hit 300 large, with complications. We had maybe 40 in savings.
We sell what we gotta, I said.
House, equity. My truck. Everything. Ryan nodded. Tears streaming. Treatment kicked off. Chemo rounds that left him bald. Vomiting. A shadow of himself. Bills flooded in, $5,000 here.
10 there.
I refinanced the house. Sold it for a pittance. Moved us to a trailer park. Pawned my ring for $800. Rode the bus to work and chemo sessions. Mom chipped in from her pension. I hated taking it but had no choice. I kept the business afloat solo, designing through tears, while Ryan fought. 10 brutal months, then miracles. Tumors shrinking, strength returning, remission. I wept in relief. We'd rebuild, debt be damned. But Ryan changed. Secretive with his phone. New clothes despite our pinch. Work stuff, he'd snap. I chalked it up to trauma. Then the bomb, divorce papers. I need space.
Eminencia.
You gave so much. But I'm different now. Turns out, space meant Mia, a young fitness instructor. He lawyered up with a shark from Phoenix, claiming community property under Arizona law. I fought, but lost big. The business went to him for peanuts after debts. $18,000 buyout. He walked with health.
Mia.
Everything. I saw them once at a coffee stand in town, laughing like I never existed. Mom fumed. That snake. I crashed harder, evicted. Diner job at $12 an hour. Ending up at dusty trails. Crackers for meals. Hollow inside. How had love led here? Back to that knock. Heart racing. I peered through the peephole. A woman. Late 20s. Ponytail. Leather jacket. Nervous. Who is it? Sarah Klein. About Ryan Cooper. Please, I know what he did. My world tilted. I hesitated, every instinct yelling to bolt the door. But curiosity, or desperation, won. I slid the chain and let her in. Sarah stepped inside, eyes darting like a spooked deer, clutching a thick envelope. She perched on the bed's edge, mascara streaked. I'm sorry for the late hour, she said. Voice cracking. But you need this. Ryan lied. To us both. Us both. I echoed, sinking into the wobbly chair. The room smelled of stale coffee and desert dust filtering through the vents. Sarah took a breath. I was his girlfriend. For 9 months after your split. He painted you as the villain, said you bailed on the marriage, tried to tank the business out of spite. I bought it hook,
line,
and sinker.
God. I'm sorry.
My gut twisted. So she was the one from the coffee stand? Beautiful. Put together. Everything I'd lost. Go on. We met at his gym in Tucson. He was charming, flowers, sunset drives in the desert. But cracks showed. Lies about trips. Hiding his phone. When I pushed, he'd flip, call me insecure. Picky about my looks. My job as a trainer. Made me doubt myself. I nodded. Flashbacks hitting. Ryan's barbs toward the end. You've let yourself go.
Eminencia.
Classic. 2 weeks ago, I caught him with another woman, a client from the print shop. Confronted him. He dumped me cold. Said I was too much drama, deserved better. She paused. Sound familiar? He told me I deserved a real woman, I whispered. Sarah's eyes widened.
Bastard.
I was livid. So I dug. Friend in medical billing pulled strings. Found out about you. The real story. Not his BS. She opened the envelope. Spilling papers. Bank slips. Insurance forms. Medical bills. Look, his policy capped out of pocket at 25 grand. But he picked out-of-network docs on purpose, racking up extras. Then filed reimbursements secretly. Checks poured in, thousands he pocketed. I scanned a statement, a hidden account in Ryan's name, deposits dating back years. 10 grand, 15 while I sold my truck, pawned heirlooms. How much? At least 130 grand I traced. Business loans he siphoned, insurance cash, even skimmed from print jobs. He watched you sacrifice and stashed it away. Rage boiled up. Hot as Arizona asphalt.
Why?
Why do this? To bail clean. Fund his new life without you dragging him down, or so he thought. Sarah's voice hardened. This is fraud. Emily. Against you. Insurers. The court in your divorce. Arizona's community property laws? He hid assets. Big no-no. Could void the settlement. Tears stung. But not defeat, fire. Why help me? We don't know each other. Because he wrecked you for sport. Almost did me. Evil like that needs stopping. She met my gaze. My lawyer pal says with this, we reopen the case. Get justice. For the first time in forever. Hope flickered. What now?
Vi tok it till dawn.
Plotting. Sarah's friend, a fraud attorney named Carla Ruiz from Phoenix, met us the next day in her no-frills office overlooking the city sprawl. Papers spread like a poker hand. Carla whistled. This is gold. Hidden assets during divorce? Judge'll eat him alive. Plus insurance fraud, criminal territory. I confessed my broke status. Carla waved it off. Contingency basis. I loathe guys like him. Let's saddle up. We filed to reopen. Motion citing fraud. New evidence. Notified insurers. Who jumped on the scam angle. Gathered proof. Every deposit. Every lie. Ryan's hotshot lawyer tried spinning. Personal savings. Not marital. But numbers don't lie. Meanwhile, life trudged. I slung hash at the diner, dodging pity stares from regulars. Mom called daily. Hang in.
Honey.
Karma's a slow train, but it hits hard. Nights at the motel, I pored over docs with Sarah, bonding over betrayal. She became a friend, shared hikes, coffee runs. We survived him, she'd say. That's power. The hearing loomed 3 months later in a Tucson courtroom, AC blasting against the heat. I wore Sarah's lone blouse, feeling exposed. Ryan strutted in, suit crisp, but sweat beaded as Carla laid it out. Mr. Cooper concealed over $130,000 while his wife liquidated assets for his treatment, under false pretenses. The judge, a stern woman with a southwestern drawl, grilled him. This account, disclosed in divorce? No. And these reimbursements, where'd they go? Ryan stammered, excuses crumbling like dry clay. Ruling came swift, original settlement tossed. Business revalued, including hidden funds. I got 60%, my half plus fraud damages. Half the secret stash. Compensation for sold assets. Total, $210,000. Not all I'd lost, but a lifeline. Insurers pressed charges. Ryan faced fines. Probation. Clients bolted when word spread. Reputation shot in this tight-knit West. I watched from afar. Sarah by my side. No glee, just closure. Ryan's latest fling vanished like morning mist. Mom hugged me tight. Proud of you.
Eminencia.
You fought smart. With the money. Priorities. Repaid Mom with interest. Funded her dream trip to Yellowstone. Got a modest apartment in Tucson. Porch with desert views. Working fridge. Bought a used Jeep for reliability. Started Hayes Design solo. Digital graphics for Western tourism. From home. Small gigs snowballed. Ranch websites. Event flyers. Felt good building honest. But the win wasn't just cash. Therapy helped unpack the hurt. I learned trust's fragile, but rebuildable. Reconnected with pals over bonfires. Share my story without shame. One evening, hiking Camelback Mountain, clarity hit. I'd given from love, not weakness. Ryan's deceit didn't define me. Sarah and I celebrated the 1-year mark with tacos at our old spot. To new trails, she toasted. I clinked, and walking am strong. Freedom tasted sweeter than revenge. Lesson learned, guard your heart. But don't let betrayal steal your spark. As the dust settled from the courtroom showdown, I found myself navigating a new kind of terrain, not the rugged canyons of Arizona, but the inner landscape of healing. The settlement check arrived like rain in the desert, quenching the immediate thirst but reminding me of the floods that had come before. $210,000 sounded like a fortune in that motel room, but after taxes and paying off lingering debts, it was closer to $150,000. Still, it was my fresh start, earned through grit and a little help from unexpected allies. First things first, I moved out of the dusty Trails motel the week after the ruling. No more scratchy sheets or flickering neon signs buzzing like angry bees. I found a cozy one-bedroom in a quiet Tucson suburb, with a balcony overlooking mesquite trees and distant mountains. The rent was reasonable, and for the first time in years, I bought groceries without counting every penny, fresh veggies, steak for grilling, even a bottle of decent wine. Mom came over for dinner that first night, her eyes misty as she hugged me. This place suits you.
Eminencia.
Like a phoenix rising. Speaking of Mom, repaying her was non-negotiable. She'd dipped into her fixed income without complaint, covering my bus fares and motel stays when I hit rock bottom. I handed her a check for $15,000, every cent plus extra. For that Yellowstone trip you've always talked about, I said. She tried pushing it back. Honey, keep it for yourself. But I insisted. You've carried me enough. Time for you to wander. With stability came the business relaunch. Hayes Designs wasn't about reclaiming the old print shop. That chapter was closed. Instead, I focused on what I loved: digital graphics for the Western lifestyle, logos for dude ranches, websites for hiking tours, social media banners for rodeos. I worked from a corner desk in my apartment, laptop humming under the soft glow of a salt lamp. First client? A small outfitter in Sedona needing trail maps. Word spread through local networks, chamber meetings.
Online forum.
By month 3, I had steady gigs, pulling in enough to cover bills and sock away savings. No more diner shifts. I was my own boss again, on my terms. Sarah became a fixture in this new life. We'd meet for coffee or desert walks, swapping stories beyond Ryan. Turns out, she was rebuilding too, started her own fitness studio after ditching the gym where she'd met him. "Betrayal's a hell of a teacher," she'd say, kicking up dust on the trails. "Teaches you to spot snakes before they strike." Our friendship was the silver lining, proof that good could bloom from bad soil. But healing wasn't linear. Some nights, memories ambushed me. Ryan's vows under the red rocks, the pawn shop's cold counter as I traded my ring for chump change.
Ide bakashurin.
Heart pounding like a stampede. That's when I started therapy, a no-nonsense counselor in Phoenix who specialized in trauma. "You've been through a war, Emily," she said in our first session. "Acknowledge the scars, but don't let M define the map." We unpacked it all: the blind trust, the sacrifices, the rage. I learned Ryan's deceit stemmed from his fears. Cancer cracked him. But instead of leaning in, he built walls of lies. Didn't excuse him, but understanding softened the edges. Legally, things wrapped cleaner than I'd hoped. Arizona's community property rules favored fairness once fraud was proven. The judge ordered Ryan to cover my legal fees too, another 20 grand back in my pocket. Insurers hit him with restitution. He pled to misdemeanors, avoiding jail but saddled with probation and a record that tanked his sales cred. The print shop limped along without clients, eventually sold at a loss. I heard through the grapevine he moved to Phoenix, scraping by in sales gigs. No schadenfreude from me, just pity for a man who'd torched his own bridges. One afternoon, about 6 months post-ruling, Ryan called. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity won.
Hein?
"It's me." His voice was small, like wind through canyons.
I
owe you an apology. What I did, hiding the money, the lies, it was cowardly. Cancer scare me stupid. I thought starting over would fix it. But I wrecked us both. I gripped the phone, emotions swirling. Why now? Lost everything. Mia bailed when the charges hit. Realized I threw away the best thing I had, you. A pause. I don't expect forgiveness. Just wanted to say I'm sorry. And thank you for saving my life. Tears pricked, but I held steady. I saved you because I loved you, Ryan. But you broke that. I'm moving on, hope you do too. Honestly, I hung up, lighter somehow. Not full absolution, but a step toward closure. The lesson? Forgiveness isn't forgetting, it's freeing yourself from the weight. Life bloomed from there. I volunteered at a local women's shelter, sharing my story in support groups. You're stronger than the storm, I'd tell them, echoing my therapist. Reconnected with old friends over campfires in the Sonoran Desert, laughter echoing under stars. Even dated casually a kind rancher named Tom. Nothing serious, but proof my heart wasn't shattered forever. Sarah and I planned a girls' trip to the Grand Canyon, hiking rims that once symbolized my proposal. As we watched the sun dip, painting the rocks gold, She turned. Proud of you.
Eminencia.
From motel to this. I smiled. Couldn't have without you. Lesson learned. Lean on the good folks. They'll pull you through. Back home. Hayes Designs grew. Landed a big contract for Arizona Tourism Board, posters promoting hidden gems. Revenue hit 6 figures that year. I hired an assistant. Expanded to video edits. Mom joined for Yellowstone. Sending selfies with geysers. Thanks to you, kiddo. Freedom felt real, not just financial.
But soul deep.
I'd lost a husband but found myself. Resilient. Wiser. Open to whatever the West threw next. With the Grand Canyon trip behind us, I dove deeper into this reborn life, savoring the small victories that stacked like stones in a cairn trail. Hayes Designs wasn't just surviving, it was thriving. I upgraded my home office with ergonomic gear and a view of the Catalina Mountains, where morning light filtered through like a promise. Clients ranged from local breweries needing labels to national parks wanting trail apps. One project, a digital campaign for the Tucson Rodeo, went viral, boosting my portfolio and bank account. For the first time, I set up a retirement fund and an emergency stash. Smart moves. Mom said over video call from her post-Yellowstone glow. You're building solid ground. Therapy continued. A weekly anchor. We explored patterns, my all-in-love style, rooted in a stable but modest upbringing. Boundaries aren't walls, my counselor noted. They're gates you control. I applied it everywhere, screening clients for red flags, saying no to overwork. It spilled into personal life too.
Tom,
the rancher, became more than casual dates. We took slow drives through Saguaro National Park, sharing stories under vast skies. He respected my pace. No rush.
Emily.
We've got time. Trust rebuilt gradually, like monsoon rains filling dry arroyos. Sarah's studio flourished too. We collaborated on her branding, Western-themed fitness graphics that screamed empowerment. Our friendship deepened over shared hikes and honest talks. Ryan's call, how'd that land? She asked one evening by a campfire. Weirdly healing, I admitted. Didn't erase the hurt, but humanized him. Flawed. Scared, not a monster. She nodded. Perspective's a gift. Keeps bitterness at bay. Speaking of Ryan, ripples from the case lingered. A local paper ran a piece on insurance fraud in the Southwest, anonymizing us but highlighting the win. It sparked inquiries, women reaching out via my site.
Sharing similar tales.
I connected them to Carla, who took pro bono cases. Paying it forward, Carla said. Your story's inspiring change.
Ryan?
Word was he entered counseling, volunteered at a cancer support group. Part of his probation, but maybe genuine. I wished him well silently, no contact. But no hate. The humane side emerged, recognizing everyone's capable of growth, even after deep wrongs. Legally, closure came full circle. The court finalized asset transfers. I invested wisely, some in stocks. Rest in a small property flip. Turned a fixer-upper cabin near Flagstaff into a rental, generating passive income. Arizona's laws, once a hurdle, now felt fair. Community property protected when fraud was exposed. Insurers recovered funds, dropping further pursuits. Case closed, Carla emailed. Proud to have fought with you. Daily rhythms brought joy, morning runs in the desert cool. Sketching ideas over coffee. Evenings with Tom grilling under stars. I adopted a rescue dog, a scrappy mutt named Dusty. Our walks reminding me of life's simple rhythms. Friends multiplied. Old ones forgave my absence. New ones drawn to my resilience. At a barbecue, one said, You're like those desert blooms, tough through drought, beautiful after rain. Challenges popped up. Of course. A client ghosted. Bills spiked. But I handled them with tools I'd honed. Calm assessment. Backup plans. No more all or nothing. The light lesson crystallized during a solo hike in the Chiricahua Mountains. Life's betrayals test us. But they reveal our strength. Don't sacrifice self for others. Balance giving with guarding your core. It's not cynical, it's wise. 1 year post-knock. Sarah and I revisited the Mexican joint from my first date with Ryan.
Tacos tasted bittersweet.
But we toasted. To rebirth. Laughter flowed. We planned a joint venture, her fitness retreats with my designs. Mom joined virtually. My girls unstoppable. Reflecting in my journal that night. Gratitude swelled. From motel despair to this abundance. The journey taught compassion for myself first. Ryan's deceit was his burden. Mine was rising above. The West's vastness mirrored my inner space. Open. Enduring. Full of possibility. Whatever storms brewed. I was ready, rooted deep. Reaching high. Word count. 712. Wait. This is short, let me expand. To fill, as months turned, I volunteered more at the shelter. Leading workshops on financial recovery post-betrayal. Shared tips. Document everything. Seek legal aid early. Women nodded. Eyes lighting with hope. 1. A single mom from Yuma. Hugged me. Your stories saved me from settling. Impact rippled outward. Tom and I grew closer. He introduced me to horseback riding on his ranch. Wind whipping as we galloped free. This is living, he'd say. Our first I love you came under a full moon. Tentative but true. No rush to marry, lessons learned. Business hit milestones, hired a part-timer. Expanded to video. Revenue doubled, I donated to cancer research. Honoring the fight without resentment. Ryan surfaced once more, an email apology. Deeper this time. Working on myself. Hope you're well. I replied briefly. I am. Take care. Closure, without reopening wounds. The humane ending? Not revenge's fire. But forgiveness's gentle rain. Washing clean. Nurturing growth. Lesson. Betrayal hurts. But holding grace heals. In the West's wild heart, I found mine beating strong. 2 years from that fateful knock. My life had transformed into something I barely recognized, but in the best way. Hayes Designs had evolved into a full-fledged agency, with a small team in a leased space downtown Tucson. We specialized in authentic Western branding, immersive websites for ecotourism, augmented reality apps for historical sites, graphics that captured the soul of the Southwest. Revenue crossed 7 figures. I even spoke at a design conference in Las Vegas, sharing my pivot story. Rock bottom's just a launch pad, I told the crowd, earning nods and applause. Personal growth mirrored the professional. Therapy wrapped after 18 months, tools internalized. I mentored others informally. Tom proposed on a rim trail at the Grand Canyon, simple ring. Echoing my past but brighter. Yes, I said. Heartful. Our wedding was intimate. Desert sunset. Close friends. Mom beaming. Sarah as maid of honor. Toasting. To love that's earned its stripes. Ryan? Faded to a footnote. He rebuilt modestly. Counseling led to a nonprofit role aiding cancer patients with finances. Ironic. But fitting. No contact. But hearing he'd changed brought quiet peace. His fraud taught vigilance. My response? Resilience. Mom thrived post-Yellowstone. Traveling more. You inspired me.
Eminencia.
Dusty the dog became family. Romping on our new acreage outside town, a modest ranch with horses. Views endless. Challenges persisted. A market dip tested the business. But diversification saved us. A health scare, benign, reminded me of fragility, prompting annual checkups. Through it, the lesson endured. Give generously, but preserve self. Betrayal reveals character, yours and theirs. Choose growth over grudge. It's lighter on the trail. Sarah and I's retreat business launched. Wellness weekends blending fitness. Design workshops.
Desert therapy.
Women left empowered. You showed us we're unbreakable. Reflecting on that motel night. Gratitude overwhelmed. Vanessa, wait. Sarah had been the catalyst, but I walked the path. From crackers to abundance. Lies to truth. Victim to victor. The West spirit, rugged.
Reneving, mirored mine.
Whatever lay ahead, I faced it head-on. Lessons lighting the way. Free. Finally. In every sense. To reach. Daily. I savored sunrises from the porch. Coffee in hand. Dusty at my feet. Tom and I built traditions. Weekly rides. Stargazing picnics. Business expanded westward. Contracts in Colorado.
Utah. Aired diverse talent.
Fostering creativity. Volunteering deepened. Board member at the shelter. Advocating for fraud laws. Testified in Phoenix. Protect the vulnerable. Impact grew. Lives changed. Family expanded. Tom and I welcomed a baby girl, naming her Sierra after the mountains. Motherhood taught new depths. Unconditional love with boundaries. Ryan sent a congrats card on the birth. Polite distance. I smiled. Healing complete. The story's arc? Shocking betrayal birthed unexpected justice. But the real gift? Humane redemption. Lesson light as desert breeze. Trust wisely. Forgive freely. Rise relentlessly. In America's West, where horizons stretch infinite, so does hope. My journey proved it.